Intro. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
That's a
That
first.
wasn't the intro.
Nope.
No, that's all right. But it's our
Are we
last
live?
show,
We're
so
live for sure?
we are for sure. We are for sure live.
Fabulous.
It's Cutting Stems, the finale, our final show. As promised, we are dressed up. We said we would, and here we are. I kind of have like a limo entrance vibe going on. Kelly's got like her flapper dream girl situation.
I'm in The Great Gatsby.
Trent is ready to be the best wedding guest you've ever had. And Harry Styles is sitting to my left.
Let's go.
Harry.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. If anybody
Fantastic.
watched the Grammys last night, you saw this exact outfit.
I
And
just
I had it sitting in my closet.
Yeah,
Right,
It's
you
like,
just already had it.
I
Yeah,
also owned every item already.
I did.
Yeah.
Besides the boa and the rings, I went and got today. But this, I had, and I said, I can't not wear it.
I also
the only
never
appropriate
realized
time.
it until you dressed up like this. You and Harry have like the same hair. I don't like. I just feel like
Oh.
No.
I feel like they
It's
have
not even that
similar
she had
hair.
Similar hair. It's that she put this outfit on and she started walking
Yeah,
around.
she
and kind of-
was
She
she
put
was
on a
walking like she was
mysterious
in the
face.
goddamn Beatles.
Yes. All of a sudden, she's had a mysterious face this whole time. Even us sitting here taking pictures, she's like, yeah, whatever. All those pictures are great. Not once have I ever heard you say all those pictures are great. You are loving it right now.
True.
You are looking it. You're feeling it.
I'm
and
dressed
love
like
it.
Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How could you
Can I
not
not
be?
feel
You're
great? I wish I
embodying
had a
his
cigarette in my
confidence.
mouth, though.
I wish
feel
that
cool.
too. We could
I
take
just
a
want
look.
to say that I think we all look great. I think you all look
Everybody
great. I think
looks
this
great.
is
Thank
you.
fantastic.
You look great.
Everybody
Thank you
looks
so much.
great.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is
I know.
I
fantastic.
can't tell you the
Having
last
fun.
time I wore a suit like this. I
Yeah.
have no
I
idea.
appreciate the commitment from all three of you.
Yes.
You both got dresses. Trent, you got a tux.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Quick funny story before we get into the finale. We had this plan, you all heard us talk about it last show, and Trent texted our group chat saying, guys, last minute, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a suit. And Rhea goes, no problem. We all forgot, we don't have dresses. And Kelly and I were like, we bought dresses. We have a side chat that's
A
the
full
three
text
ladies
conversation,
where
yeah.
we're sending links to the dresses we purchased. It just went,
It didn't
didn't
go.
even-
I had a very busy day that day, and that's I'm not gonna sit here and brag about all the stuff I do, but
Right.
it was a very busy day, and I had missed these
Yes.
text
It was a
messages.
busy
I
day.
felt
And you
great.
know what?
I will say.
Honestly, I'm glad you did because you would have been in something else that's not this.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Kelly had other dress options, and I was like, no, I want to be Harry Styles. This is the only time, unless Halloween comes, I gotta wait for Halloween. This feels appropriate.
It's true.
I felt
Absolutely.
great because I traveled all last week and I tried to go on Sunday and was like, hey, guys, I think I waited too long because I told the guy fuck. Rhea bought me a top hat and a cane. It was a rush, I will say. I
It
just
was.
completely forgot about it. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I forgot
Shit,
about
where
it too
are
until
they?
you
Are
just
they,
said
are they
that.
not right there?
I don't know where they are.
It's.
It's
Do I see the top hat literally?
Devin
on your
might have
desk?
to go grab it.
If I went and got this
It's worth
tux
it.
suit yesterday at Men's Warehouse. But they were
Dedication.
They worked. They like at first they were like, we just can't do that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we made it happen. So
No, I'm.
It's
Oh, here we go.
fantastic. Here.
look at this.
Wow.
Look at this.
Look at this gentleman. Oh my goodness.
I love it. Now,
There you go.
to be completely honest, you guys look like
wow.
you may have met on The Bachelor
Yeah, we met.
circa 1924.
Yes, we did. Yes,
Yes.
we did. We actually met on the Titanic. I don't know if you
Yes,
guys know that.
yes,
We met on the
actually,
Titanic.
so
1912. We survived.
On the
We survived.
Titanic
We
is
met on the
basically
Titanic.
exactly what you look like. And I'm not going to lie, now that I'm looking at myself more, like, I feel like this is very close to something someone would wear on night one of The Bachelor.
Your outfit,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
Your outfit is
Like
100% a limo entrance
100%.
outfit. A limo
All
entrance
right,
outfit. I
so
love
we're
it.
ready to go. The finale, just one final cheers. Owens Mixers, thank you so much for everything you've done for our show.
Yes.
And for everyone
Cheers.
that's been drinking along. We got a little fancy, so we got champagne tonight with our grapefruit and lime, the best, honestly, one of my favorites.
That is good stuff.
Yeah, this might
Don't
be
mind me. I'm just gonna retweet the show. I'm not going on my phone.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
just retweeting
I'm
the show.
not scrolling.
Should maybe
So this is good. You can get 15% off. Code Barstool15, owensmixers.com. All right, guys, we've been waiting for this finale for a long time. We've been waiting specifically for the after the final rose. I think we knew where this was all ending.
Yep.
We wanted to see this conversation. And to be quite honest, I feel like it ended in the maybe not best way it could, but it ended in a way that was coherent and there was a conversation and we actually got to hear from Matt. Like this whole time it was so hard watching the show from months ago and seeing how he was acting with these women, and then we finally got to see Matt speak. But we started off with the whole final two they were moving pretty quickly. You know, Matt and Rachel both got to meet Matt's mom and brother. Matt's brother, another star. I think immediately
He's
everybody
fantastic.
loved Matt's brother. And it really did seem like he may have Googled like questions to ask brother's girlfriend.
Yes.
And wrote them down and then recited them out to the girls, which was great.
At one point, he looked at it was Michelle or Rachel and just said, do you think you're ready for true
Yes,
love?
yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's like
Right.
a good
and
question.
so serious.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Trent, you had a good tweet and it said the human lie detector, which
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
acting as.
Yeah, when he first met Michelle, he was like, I'm not like a negative or a skeptical person, but I'm going to grill this person because they are potentially going to marry my brother. And he was not fucking around the whole time.
No, he was not.
He was just like, you better be the right person for my brother or, you know, you're not going to get past me.
He took it very seriously, which I thought was extremely sweet. It's nice
Yeah.
when your family has your back like that. He was like, no bullshit in this house. Absolutely no bullshit in this house.
When we go to the picture-in-picture and it's just tiny, it's Trent's top hat. Takes a
The hat doesn't really fit. I got
It doesn't even fit on
The
his
hat
head,
might
but
have to
look
go.
at it
I
tiny in the corner.
I appreciate the hat, but it might have to go.
Oh,
it just
man.
doesn't fit my head.
It's so tall. It says,
Fuck that hat. It's finale
it
night.
says like
Yeah.
Lincoln Stagpipe
yeah,
hat.
I
on the side or
felt,
something.
I felt like Abe.
Yeah,
You
look
know
like
what?
it.
You feel good now.
We're moving on
Yeah.
away from the hat.
No
you
need.
guys, I like the Titanic vibe from,
Yeah, I'm
from
feeling
you
it as
too.
well. I'm feeling it as well.
They all got to meet Matt's mom. And Matt's mom, let me tell you guys, I think if Matt maybe thought he was actually going to get engaged at the end of this, Matt's mom talked him out of it. Matt's mom,
she did.
and I think she really loved both of the girls. They had very emotional conversations. Matt's mom was very honest with both of them. And at the end of the day, Matt's mom looked at him like, 1, feelings come and go. 2, love.
Not the end all be all.
Yeah.
Not the end
Love
all
is
be
not
all.
the end
Love
all
is
be
not-
all.
yeah,
What a
so-
statement.
And I really think Matt was like, oh shit, like she's so right. What am I doing? Why? I think maybe he was in the Bachelor bubble for so long that it was like, okay, I'm gonna get engaged. This is really what I'm gonna do.
It was
And Matt's mom was
reminiscent
like, no.
of her name that I'm forgetting when they had the hometown and her mother and sister talked her out of it. Who-
Right? No.
No, Serena P.
Serena
Serena
P.
P,
It-
yes,
it reminded me very much of that, where Serena P. and Matt, they were like, oh, I think this is going really well. And you're right. I think you
Yep.
do get caught in the Bachelor bubble where you're just focusing on this one thing all the time. And you need someone, you know, in this case, his mom, to come in and be like, it doesn't have to be all this. Like, there is still a world going on outside of this. And if you don't feel it all the way, then you don't have to commit to anything here. I thought she really did kind of talk him out of it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Matt really held on to that advice throughout the entire
For sure.
show because we saw that he really didn't want to propose. And I feel like a lot of the times the people feel pressured to propose even though they're not ready. We saw that with Pilot Pete. He
Yeah.
proposed to Hannah Ann.
Oh.
Hannah Ann was
Yeah.
like, you took my first engagement away from me. You knew
Yep.
that you didn't even want to propose. So I feel like Matt did the right thing. You can tell he thought about it a lot. You
Yeah.
can tell he was debating it very hard, but the conversations he was having with his mom, I think, really stuck in his head.
So what do you guys think about this, right? Because I think this opens up a lot of conversations of why even be on The Bachelor if you're not 100% ready to get married at the end, when we all now know that so many people go on The Bachelor for so many other reasons, and that's very, very clear. And we've seen past Bachelors and Bachelorettes who totally are not ready to get married. But for me, I feel like I would rather have a Matt James moment and no proposal than a Peter moment where you think you need to propose and it turns out to be a disaster. Because now, like, it would have been even worse if Matt had proposed.
Right. It's almost, I don't want to shame Matt for making a mature decision. He
Yeah.
was mature in
Yeah.
thinking like, oh, maybe I was wrapped up in this. My mom kind of brought me back down to earth. She was, a little blunt about it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what he needed. Maybe that's the style that he needs to learn in order to put himself in that position and be like, oh, wait a minute, I need to take myself out of this bubble. I'm not going to propose to these girls. But I do think that it speaks volumes that he still wanted to be with someone at the end. He just didn't want to take away that special moment like Peter did for Hannah
Right.
Ann.
Sometimes I think the only people who still, I don't know if require is the right word of proposal, but is the show itself. Like, I think when I watch it, I don't necessarily need a proposal at the end. Like, I thought,
Same.
like you're saying, like Matt making the decision to be like, I am not going to propose to you, Rachel, but I do want to leave here with you. I still really like you, and I don't think it needs to be a proposal. I understand, like, you can still feel it during the show. Like, when Chris Harrison is having a conversation with Matt, it still seems like, and while he's was then the representative of the show being like, are you sure? Like, what are you thinking about right now? Like, the show clearly wants a proposal, and I'm sure there's a percentage of the audience that tunes in and wants a proposal, but I just don't fall into that category. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but if they're going to be happy, or, you know, obviously different things happen this season, but like after the show is over and if they go away and they don't end an engagement, but they're happy, and that seems fine with me.
I think that if there is a proposal that maybe shouldn't have happened, I think it's worse when we get to the after the final rose, or we get to a couple weeks after the finale has aired and they're broken up already. I think that feels more of a waste to me than it does for someone to step in and be like, listen, I'm not trying to rush it. I really want to still be with you. I'm just not going to get on one knee.
Situation.
Oh my
yes,
God.
exactly. Like, sure, that was an explosive after the final rose, but, you know, it still kind of sucks.
Yeah, definitely.
Barb.
What are your thoughts?
Listen, I miss Barb. I know that sounds crazy, but when you look back at that finale, even though he did propose, it's two different seasons. This season, this finale was very real. I feel like everyone learned a lot this season, especially with this finale. It was a lot more serious than past finales have been. Peter's season was off the walls during the finale in just
ways we'll never get again.
In ways we will never see again, and in ways that are so different why this one was off the walls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like the relationship with Matt James and his mom was way different than the relationship with Barb and Peter.
So different.
For sure.
Agreed. Totally
For sure. And, you know, Matt definitely looked like a man not ready to get engaged. There was no ways around that. He did the right thing when it came to, you know, just keeping that ring, because it really did seem like you watch it from that point of view and you see how much the show really does want them to get engaged, right? You like he has that conversation with Chris where he's so hesitant, he doesn't know what he wants to do. And it's not like, hey, let's not send Neil Lane in. He clearly doesn't want to get engaged. It's like, no.
They're like,
send
Neil
in.
They're like, we got to send Neil in now because he's getting cold feet. We got to send him
in
in
the briefcase, bring out the big rings, let him hold them, let him touch them.
That sales job by Neil Lane is a sales job that I have not seen since like the time of slippery car salesman.
No one wanted to propose less than Matt, and he still took a ring
still
from
came
Neil
out of
Lane.
it with a ring.
He's like, I'm not gonna make you take one of these rings, but let's look at him anyway, and popped open that briefcase and was like, here you go.
Always.
Yeah, Neil Lane is quite a salesman.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Michelle, because
Poor Michelle.
we all assumed that this was how it was going to end with Michelle. She had their last date. They had a lovely time. They rappelled down the side of the building.
Preposterous, honestly.
No helmets.
How did they do that after what happened?
In heels.
With Rachel slamming into the ground, almost dying. They brushed past it. No, we're going to have them scale a building, act like they're training to be a superhero right now. What? No helmet. First building in combat boots, not made for scaling. Not even combat boots, just like cute boots.
Cute boots with it.
Scaling the side of the building, like somebody should have warned her about this.
We just watched Rachel slam into the ground, going 100 miles per hour on a skydiving date, and they're like, you know what? Let's run it back. Let's
no
do it.
helmets.
Also, the first second that Matt went over, remember, the first second when you pointed out no helmets, they were like, don't lean back. And he was like, what? And leaned back and was basically dangling upside down and had to like use his core strength to bring him up. I would have fallen straight to the ground. Like there is no core strength here. That was insane.
If you don't have core strength like Matt James, you're falling flat on the ground.
There's not a lot of people
just get on the elevator and go to that lunch.
100%.
Totally
Just
fine.
take the elevator. We can skip this.
So sadly, we had the moment with Matt and Michelle where Michelle gave Matt the matching jerseys.
Oh,
the Mr.
I almost forgot
and
that
Mrs.
happened.
James jerseys.
Look at what a screenshot they got.
No.
Man.
No.
Oh, man.
And you know what? Look, you guys, when this happened, really did not like this gift. From the standpoint of like they were not yet engaged. I liked the gift. I feel like Michelle was just very confident in this moment and thought it was cute and thought Matt would like it, when in reality, I think Matt realized it was a good wake up for Matt to be like, oh shit, she really thinks we're going to get engaged. Like, I have to break up.
Right. To be clear, I don't think the jerseys were the deal breaker in any way whatsoever. Like, I don't think he was like, I'm all in on this, saw the jerseys, and then he's like, I'm out.
No,
I think he, going into this, was probably going to send Michelle home, and it's just, she broke out the jerseys, and it just made it 100 million times worse.
So much worse. Also, too, I think that when people, sure, she maybe had this confidence, whoever thought it was her, she has to know that it's between her and someone else. Like, there's a level of confidence that you can have going into the situation. The confidence that she has to make herself a Mrs. James jersey, that's confidence that, like,
or
I
also,
can't
you know,
even,
somebody made those, you know.
for sure, someone made those, someone made them.
Up
but, you know, if we're thinking it's her in her head, that's too much. She should not have had that much confidence. No one should have that much confidence unless there's a ring on your finger. Like, don't start getting shit personalized until you got the ring on your finger.
Right, you
Good lesson, no monogramming.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be that confident even if you're just like not on a reality TV show with someone else in the running. Like,
exactly.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Can you imagine giving that gift in real life when
No.
you haven't even been engaged?
Right. Yeah, no, it's no.
That's a no.
Right, unless you like knew 100% that you were getting engaged the next day.
Right, like you saw the ring and you talked about it and you know the plan.
Like your mom
there's
called
just,
you and was like, get a manicure, it's happening tomorrow.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, not to pile on Michelle, but I like, even if it had worked out, say he didn't, say she ended up winning, like, then they just have those jerseys. Like, I don't know, like, it's a sweet and cute thing, but if the payoff isn't as good as the downfall can be if he sends you home right away.
And it became so much worse because he is a guy who does not want to get engaged.
Hello? The kind of Trump was talking, they didn't even show him. What was that about?
Well, I'm wearing,
yeah, I got this outfit on.
I had a Men's Warehouse guy be like, I can't believe that you need this by tomorrow.
Yeah,
You know what he also
so much
said?
makeup on.
You know what he also said? He said, do you lift a lot of weights? And I was like, no. I was like, this is, I know that's like, sounds like a bragging thing, but I don't lift weights. I was just like, I'm from the Midwest. This is just what my body looks like.
This is how, we're built different.
Yeah, this is just, I don't know. I don't lift weights. This is just how I pretty much came out when I was born, and I haven't done anything
Largest
since.
baby in Iowa.
You look great.
Front page, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Front page.
Front page.
That's a true story.
It is
Oh,
true.
man. Well, guys, it was kind of a train wreck for that last half hour. We all knew what was going to happen, and we just didn't really know. We didn't know if he was going to propose or not, but it was very clear all episode this guy did not want to propose. So we get to the end. He basically gives Rachel the, like, let's date, I love you, but I'm not ready to get engaged. Let's be together. And they seemingly have their happy ending. We know that was not the case. We have seen the news, the drama, everything that's unfolded, the statements, like Michelle said, you know, the apologies, the statements, everything that's happened. And that's led to, that is just a sad photo to look at. Really.
Yeah,
it is really sad
depressing.
because, to be honest, that whole scene was extremely romantic. If you take apart all
I know.
of the other
and they
shit,
did seem really happy.
They really did, and it was, you know, it started off weird. And Matt was like, "Meet me by the lake for maybe your murder, maybe your proposal."
By the lake.
I know you
and
want
then
answers. Meet me at the lake.
I got answers.
And then they went to this, you know, this clearing in the woods where everything is set up to look like this beautiful living room, and you know, this like non-proposal but promise to be together goes down, and then we immediately transition into this horribly difficult conversation. So it's like, I don't really know exactly how we're supposed to, you know, go from there. I think.
Absolutely. So, you know, once we got into the after portion, and first of all, we'd just like to say, unbelievable move by this show to continue to have Chris Harrison do the voiceover.
Crazy.
Into the,
Nuts.
Into the after
we were
the
like,
final
next on
rose.
the After the Final Rose, Emmanuel Acho.
And it was one thing
Chris
to be
Harrison's
like, at
voice.
first it sounded like, okay, maybe this was all done beforehand. No, he said Emmanuel Acho's name out loud.
Yep.
I don't know
Several times.
why they thought that was the right thing to do. In what world would that be
It's
okay?
just strange. It's
That
just a
doesn't
weird
mean
thing.
stepping
After all of
aside.
this.
Not,
Yeah.
hey, Chris,
No.
we got some quick
He's
voiceover
still there.
work for you
He's
to
still
do.
hanging out. Yeah, he's still hanging out. I think that's orchestrated. I think that they don't. We were talking about it before. They don't necessarily want us to like forget about Chris. They want to make it seem like Chris is on board with this.
crazy.
He's trying to, you know, he's bettering himself. He's still supporting the brand. I think from a PR standpoint, probably good for people who are nitpicking. I don't think that like having him do that maybe was the idea.
People are
that they should
upset.
have had.
Yeah,
people are not
for
upset.
sure.
Yeah, people
well,
are pissed.
when you say when you say like Chris Harrison is stepping aside for XYZ, and we're having a Emmanuel Acho step in and take over this very serious conversation, and really like he did such an amazing job. To then have Harrison be the guy who does like your voiceover intro, it's like we're missing something here.
Yeah.
They could have had anybody do the voice.
They
It's
could have
just
just
a
had
voice.
Emmanuel do
Anybody.
it.
They could have had Emmanuel do it.
Definitely
They could
could
have
have
had
had him
Matt
do it.
James do
Definitely.
it. They could have had literally anybody else do it.
Yeah.
Why they thought that was? They could have had a random producer on the show do it.
Anybody could have done it.
Like
Probably
that
should-
takes 2 seconds to put into the episode.
Probably should have had Emmanuel do it. That
Yeah.
would be my number one suggestion.
Let's give props to Emmanuel.
Yeah.
I think that
He was
did.
so
He came in.
good.
I don't think any of us really knew what to. Yeah, big time. I don't
Big
think
time
we
round
knew
of
like
applause.
what to
Rhea
expect.
put
with
on a
him.
whole new boa for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just appeared.
Yep.
Out of nowhere. I think Harry Styles did that last night.
I think he did.
Yeah,
Whoa.
he might have.
I think he
done
did
it.
change bows
He might have done it mid-performance,
Yeah.
maybe. But no, I think he did a really good job.
He
I think
did.
that none of us really knew what to expect. We knew that we were going to come into this after the final rose with a little bit of, you know, like heavy hearts,
Yeah.
and it was going to be heavy conversation. And I think he handled it very, very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think he really did a stellar job facilitating the conversation.
Right.
You know, he asked important questions. He asked good questions. He didn't
From like both sides.
Yes.
From both
Right.
sides.
Absolutely.
You know, he didn't just. I feel like obviously if Chris Harrison did this, we wouldn't have gotten the answers we wanted. It
No.
wouldn't have been
100%.
real. It would have been very surface
Right.
level. We wouldn't
Right.
have like gone deeper. And so this was a really smart choice. He really did a great job.
Yeah.
And I felt like we were all captivated the entire time. And I feel like people watching it definitely learned something. And just him like getting that opportunity, obviously it's his first time doing something like that, and not everything's going to be perfect. The way he talks about it, the way he, you know, hosts is not going to be the same as what we're used to, but he really did do a good job at keeping that conversation flowing. Even when Matt, you know, he couldn't speak and he was silent, he let that silence kind of talk for him. He didn't
Right.
like
Yes.
step in right away. Those moments were so strong, and I feel like we got to feel that with Emmanuel.
Yeah, he was great. If we didn't already know that Tayshia and Caitlin were going to be the hosts of The Bachelorette, I think he would be like a shoo-in. Like, absolutely. I thought he did a fantastic job. Like, it's obviously a very hard but necessary conversation to have just on the whole, and he handled it just about as good as you could do it. So I thought, I thought he did fantastic.
I appreciated his effort to kind of play into that, like the long pauses and the drama
Yeah.
and the like the more.
He opened with a joke.
Yeah,
He
he opened
did.
with, he was like, "This is all Chris. I'm
Yep.
filling in for Chris Harrison. So this is already the most
Yep.
dramatic after the final rose that we've ever had." True, very true.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
really, it already was, and it ended up truly being the most dramatic after the final rose I've ever seen in my life. And
Yeah.
and to be honest, uncomfortable. The whole
Yeah.
thing
Yeah,
was
it
uncomfortable,
was
and it was meant to be, I think.
Right.
Right. It was
Definitely.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but I really do feel like he, and I don't want to speak for them because obviously we weren't on the show, but I feel like everybody felt comfortable talking to him.
Yeah.
From what I saw, I feel like he was trying to make Michelle feel comfortable. He was trying to make Matt James feel comfortable, even though the conversation about Rachel was uncomfortable for Rachel. He
Right.
still tried to make her feel comfortable talking about it and really just getting to the bottom of it. So
Yeah.
a really good job.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you guys said. He really did, and Rhea, especially what you said, like we wouldn't have had that kind of conversation with if this was Chris Harrison. Like
Right.
the conversations that they had tonight and they had around their relationships, and especially the conversation that Emmanuel and Matt were able to have together,
Yep.
is really something that we would not have seen. And it really helped us hear from Matt, and for Matt to feel comfortable speaking to the world about, you know, the pressures he felt as the first Black Bachelor, and how, you know, if you're the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, your job is to find love, to fall in love. But for Matt, he was given this job at such a serious time where he felt like not only was he supposed to find love, but he's supposed to speak on, you know, social justice. He's supposed to speak on all these matters. He's supposed to speak on making sure that this franchise is diverse and inclusive. So like he had all these just like walls closing in on him. And at the same time, he did say, you know, I still enjoyed my time on this show because I was able to learn about myself in ways that he had never done. And I do believe he like definitely was able to open up more than he was at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
But it was a good look at how tough it must have been for Matt to have that conversation with Rachel in real time, because he could barely speak in this moment.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He said that he felt as if he had to represent Black men across the country.
Yeah.
Like everything he did was representative of that,
Yeah.
and that kind of reflected in his conversation with Rachel a little bit. I think whether he realized it or not at the time, he obviously is feeling all these feelings himself, but I think added with the pressure and everything else surrounding it, I think it had a lot to do with the fact that he is now stuck in this position. Like he kind of feels like everybody's looking to him for these answers that maybe he didn't necessarily go in thinking he could give all these answers, and he just
Yeah.
kind of got stuck a little bit. I feel bad for Matt. I feel really bad for him.
Oh
I feel
my
like
God,
he
so
didn't.
it's heartbreaking.
We can all
yeah,
agree
it's awful.
that our rose goes to Matt tonight, by the way.
Oh,
I feel like
all
we can just
over.
give like a mutual rose
He
to
gets,
Matt.
he
I feel
gets
like
the final rose.
the
Right.
final
Yeah,
rose
absolutely.
from
that
here
is,
because
for Matt James.
he had to go through so much this season. I feel like he learned a lot for himself this season. First of all, you know, his dad visiting him, having that conversation with his dad, now having to deal with the woman he loves hurting him in this way, having to now face it on national TV and go through that. The whole thing was sort of depressing and
Incredibly heartbreaking.
and heartbreaking, and just to see how hurt Matt James was, I feel like everyone can feel that through the screen. And as for I feel like this was a good point by Matt when he was talking to Rachel and they were like, you know, Emmanuel was asking, like, do you think there's any reconciliation happening? Like, what do we think's gonna happen with this relationship? Because they obviously did split up, and he kept saying she needs to do this work on her on her own. Like she needs to do this work by herself. She needs to do it on her own because it shouldn't be Matt James's job.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like of course she can learn from Matt and she can learn from other people.
Matt can't hold her
But
hand
Matt
the whole time.
can't. That he already has enough stress on himself. He can't be her like teacher at all times.
Right. Emmanuel even said that to him. He was like, do you think that you should have stayed with her to try to teach her these things and walk her along that way to learning and education? And Matt was still like, no, I think that's something she has to do on her own. And I think he's probably right.
I think so too. And something else he said interesting was that when all of this news started first coming out, he kind of wrote them all off as rumors because that's what it seemed to be at the time. And he stood by her for a long time, helping her during like all the shaming she was getting and everything like that. And once Rachel put out her own statement about it is when he said, okay, now you're going to have to like take the rest of this journey on your own. Like I can no longer support you in this. Like you're going to have to learn on your own. But I do think it speaks to Matt's character that even though all of this was going on and Rachel was being like just completely shamed by everybody on earth and still stood by her even though it was an issue that pertained directly to him. I think he's a huge person to be able to do that.
And it is incredibly heartbreaking because Rachel clearly still loves Matt. And
Yes.
Matt, there's a part of him that still loves Rachel. So that's where you get those long moments of silence when it's like, do you think the door is open for a reconciliation at all? And Matt doesn't have an answer. He just has no idea. But I do think that they both still love each other. It's just, there's just some things you can't really get past, and it's just hard.
For sure. And I think Matt, like he said, had a hard time when the first conversations he had with Rachel, and he felt like he had to explain to her why it was wrong, you know. And I think he, in that moment, the way he explained it seemed like, you know, I can't be doing that. Like that's, I can't be like teaching you, or not even teaching you, but just
pointing out the things.
If you can't see it for yourself, then this just isn't going to work right now. So, like you said, it was incredibly heartbreaking to see two people who have very strong feelings for each other have this conversation, and for Rachel too, who, you know, is saying, this is the love of my life, and not only like have I lost the love of my life, but in doing so, I hurt him gravely.
Right.
So it was incredibly uncomfortable to watch. Like Emmanuel had said multiple times, you know, this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation. And watching them try and work through it, it's hard because there was really no, like they had that conversation, but there was no like, okay, we've come to a resolution.
It's not like an all is forgiven situation.
Right. It was
it's
just
like this is going to continue on.
Sadly, their relationship did not work out. And that's just it.
What did you guys think about when Emmanuel asked Rachel who she blames for her ignorance? I thought that was an interesting question, and she didn't. She said that I'm not going to blame my upbringing. I'm not going to blame my parents. I'm not going to blame whatever. I have to take the responsibility for myself. I thought that was smart. I also do, though, think that maybe sometimes you can blame your upbringing a little bit. Like, it's kind of,
of course.
Well, I feel like you can't just straight up be like, oh, it was, you have to take accountability
for
yourself.
Sure. 100%,
I blame myself
did.
for not seeing the big picture here and not questioning things myself. But I do think that you can also, and she kind of did, but I feel like her answers were kind of surface level because she was afraid to say something wrong. Whereas if she kind of explained a little bit more, I feel like people would listen and be like, okay, like talk a little bit more, like let's get a little bit more out of you. Because I feel like if she was like, listen, I don't blame anybody, but I blame myself, but I did grow up in an area where this is what everybody thought, and this is what everybody taught me.
Yeah.
Because when you are not in a place where anybody is telling you otherwise, like, I feel like her upbringing did have something to do with it. And she did mention that, but she didn't say she was blaming it on that, which I feel like people would have been mad if she was like, well, I blame my upbringing and my family, because you got to blame yourself, but you can blame it also on your upbringing.
And not doing the
research
work
on
outside and to be like, why am I going to this party? Why am I dressing up like this? Why, you know, and actually learning about it before doing it, just kind of doing it blindly because that's what everybody else was doing.
Yeah, she even said that Emmanuel asked her if she was losing sleep at night, wondering if these photos were going to come out and all this shit. And she was like, honestly, no, I didn't think anything of it. It was a picture of me and my friends. I didn't think about the party once. I didn't think about the meaning behind it. I thought nothing of it because I just didn't think anything of it. And so, you know, that's, to me, I mean, that sucks. That's awful that you didn't think anything of it. But, you know, what are you going to, now she knows, I guess. Now she knows.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think she has talked about, moving forward, and you know, Emmanuel did ask her like, what steps are you taking, and she had kind of given it, like you said, it was all a little surface level where it's like she said, oh, I could list the books I'm reading and the documentaries I'm watching, but it's about the action that I take from those, and then that was kind of it. So it was like, so what action?
Yeah, but she needed to name some action. Right?
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like
maybe.
everything was so surface level to the point where, because first of all, PR teams telling her to be surface level, and also I feel like she was afraid to say certain things because she doesn't want it to be taken out of context or whatever. But at this point, you're so far deep.
She's in hives.
You got to
she's
let it all fly. You got to be honest.
Do you
Just let it fly.
Do you think if she had started like listing off books and movies and who she's talking to me that I think would be more like disingenuous. Like I think that she's like, well, I'm reading this book and this book and this book. It's almost like, look, I did my homework. Here it is. I think her being like, I'm doing the work. I fucking promise.
I'm not saying to list sources when she was like, now I need to take action. But like, what is like? I guess
it's just hard.
What
exactly is the right way to go about it?
Even if you do say something, people are like, well, what is that doing?
Right. So it was lose-lose all around,
surface
I think.
Level, but
and I think
so. She does have to say, you know, I'm taking what I'm learning and I'm moving forward and putting those into action. And all we can do is hope that she does.
You know what?
That
That was a better way to word it. You worded it better than she did, because I feel like what she was saying was like, I can say I'm listening to all these podcasts. So it sounded like she was basically being like, I'm not. But
I could do that.
I could say it.
The way she framed it did sound a little bit like
she didn't word it.
Definitely. But at the end of the day, the two of them watching Rachel and Matt have that conversation was it's tough. And like I said, there's no way to kind of wrap up this season in a bow because it just didn't end like that. It's very, very open. You hope that Matt's okay. You know, this has been a very stressful season for Matt. And at the same time, like, I would love for The Bachelor to maybe pay attention to sometimes like who they're putting on the show, because there's definitely been times where they have cast people who may have a little controversy, maybe something in their past that they have kept for a reason, because maybe it makes good television and they think like, oh, they'll be sent home and whatever. And then you're in a situation like this and it's like, I just don't understand how they still aren't like making sure that their bachelor or bachelorette is in a safe environment where it's like,
because to be honest, like all the shit coming out about Rachel sucks, but I also think the people that are exposing her, it makes it a dangerous situation too. Like I think it's dangerous on so many sides. So it's highlighting these people who are, you know, have things that have gone wrong in their past. Yes, needs to be highlighted. Good that they're apologizing, whatever. But at the same time, the people, this whole thing I remember finding it out from a TikTok, and TikTok is fucking brutal. Like they will ruin your life. They'll find your family. They'll call your house nonstop until you're fired. Like they'll do crazy shit like that. And why would the Bachelor producers or anybody on that side not do enough research to maybe protect those people, or at least not even bring them to the forefront? Like, why even give them a platform at all? If not to then be torn down. Like, are you cool with tearing them down? Then sure, fine, whatever. But if like you see something like that and you're like, listen, we don't need to get our like hands messy with this. Like, she can live her life however she is. It's not our responsibility to like educate her. Like we're all talking about. Like why do we have to do this? You know.
So we came to an end, and they did end with a Bachelorette announcement. Michelle and Katie are both going to be the Bachelorette.
Yes.
Not at the same time. We're not getting a Caitlin Bristow situation, thank God.
Thank God.
That would not
That
go
would've been a
over
disaster.
well.
That
No.
was.
No.
I think it scared a lot of people to see both of them come out together at the same time and be like, oh no, they are not
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
this.
Even them, like
quick
in
heart attack.
What is it? In tandem, when they were
In
like,
sync,
we're the
or-
in sync,
No,
we're
right,
the
right. We're
Bachelorettes.
the Bachelorettes.
It's
So it's like,
ugh.
oh shit, together.
No.
But no, Katie's going to be the Bachelorette first, and then hopefully there's Paradise season, and then Michelle is going to be the Bachelorette in the fall. So normally we don't have a Bachelorette in the fall. Now we saw Claire and Tayshia, they did it because of the delays because of the pandemic, and so now Michelle is getting a season in the fall. I believe this was because of school reasons that she
Yeah.
wanted to finish
Yeah.
out the school season. School season. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
the
what,
school year.
Michelle?
I don't
Like,
know. My brain is dwarfed. The school
season makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. I was like, yeah, school
yeah,
season.
school
Yeah,
season, yep,
just
yep.
100%.
100%.
Went with you on
Season
that.
1 of school.
Yeah.
So,
Season 2, honestly.
yeah, she
Season
teaches,
1 would be the
she
fall.
actually teaches
Season 2.
season 3 of school, I think.
Yeah. Season 3.
So she's coming back in the fall. They're going to get their own seasons, which is great. I think people love Katie. People love Michelle.
Yep.
I think we would have been very upset. Like, I like Katie a lot. If it was just her, you know,
Yeah.
I think they definitely would have been facing a lot of more people saying, like, are you really, like,
Yeah,
Katie? But
for real.
we get Michelle, which is fantastic. I think everybody loves Michelle. And so hopefully we get 2 good seasons. We know Tayshia and Caitlin are hosting Katie's season, which I think is starting soon right now. So
Filming,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Filming probably
Yeah.
starts in like a week or
Yep.
whatever. That I think will air probably around Memorial Day. That's usually when like the actual Bachelorette is normally slated for.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
yeah. So they ended on a good note. New seasons, The Bachelorette's coming. Shall we take some questions?
Show never
Let's do
ends.
it.
I wonder if
Show
we're going to
never
get
ends.
Bachelor in Paradise. Have we heard anything about that?
I think we are.
I think we are getting it?
I think
I
we
hope
are.
so.
I hope so too.
Bachelor Nation, let's get your questions in the YouTube chat. Rhea
Yes.
/ Harry Styles will read
Yep.
them
Yeah.
out loud. So if you have any
Okay,
questions
Harry.
for
Harry.
us or Harry specifically,
Haria Styles?
just
Yeah, Harry
Harry
Styles.
Styles.
Ooh.
Haria Styles.
There we go.
There you go.
Creative.
Okay, first question. Do you guys think Matt would have tried to reconcile with Michelle if she was not chosen as Bachelorette?
No. I don't think his feelings were ever that strong for Michelle in the first place. I think Michelle is so great that like he loved her as a person, but like he said, I don't think he was ever like in love with her.
Yeah, if he was like, didn't get rid of her before Rachel,
Yeah.
or something, I don't know,
right.
something else. Like I think that he once he got rid of her, that was it. Like he didn't even want to talk to her and say goodbye. Did we talk about that? I forget. He wouldn't even give her the extra
Yeah.
like
That was
the 2-minute
Yeah.
phone call. So I have a
Yeah.
feeling it was kind of like a nope. I am
Right.
gonna
Yep.
shut myself off from
Right.
that, and that's that.
We also
Yeah.
didn't talk about Michelle roasting.
Yeah,
that.
roasting the shit
Michelle
out of
did
him.
roast him,
That was-
and well deserved.
Yeah.
It's,
Well
yeah,
deserved,
in
yes.
that moment, between the two of them, you know, she had her reasons, especially if you're going out and you're asking for like, hey, 2 minutes before I leave, and he's like, nah.
Yeah.
And I do think, you know, like we saw, Matt was really struggling in that time anyway. So he probably selfishly didn't want to talk to Michelle. And is that wrong? Probably. Could have given her that time to speak. So
Yeah, he said,
agree.
I didn't know how you were feeling at that time. It's like,
right. You couldn't have guessed how she was feeling.
She was trying,
Yeah.
she was trying to call you repeatedly. Like she
just
was trying to
dumped her
call you.
after-
She was begging to see
After,
you.
right,
Like
she gave him Mr. and Mrs. James jerseys.
Oh,
You thought she was fine? She was just gonna go home and like be good?
what did she say to him that was so funny? Where she was like, I appreciate you saying that. Like, what did he always say to them in response? What was
Thank
her
you for
roast?
sharing.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
Thanks
yeah.
for sharing.
Yeah.
That
Sharing.
was.
Oh,
that
how
was
about Michelle? Am I supposed to fight for you? Oh God, that's just heartbreaking.
As Matt James would
awful.
do.
Oh God. Matt.
yeah.
Yep.
Moving on. Do we think we'll see more of Rachel in the future? Paradise
Rachel.
possibility, or will her and
Carcano?
Matt get back together? Yeah. What do
Not
we
a
think's gonna
chance.
happen with Rachel?
Definitely
I
not
don't think
Paradise.
so.
Are you kidding me? What?
I don't
No.
think so.
This is a question.
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
No,
asking.
no, I
was
know, but I
asking
mean,
what the
come
people are
on. There's
asking.
no
Yeah.
way. I mean,
No.
I don't think
No.
so ever.
I don't know about her.
I don't think
Matt's
she would want
future.
You seem to be a little open to that, like just like a little potentially, and I don't necessarily disagree with that.
I think I'm on that same page too. Like they seem so.
It
seems like such a weird like Romeo and Juliet situation to me.
Feel the
I don't know
heartbreak
why.
between them, and when you can like sense that insane heartbreak, there are like feelings of love there too. You have to have those feelings of love in order to have those feelings of heartbreak.
Yes.
And
Totally
so, like that to me is like I don't know. Maybe Matt will never. Maybe Emmanuel's right. They'll literally never talk to each other again.
Yeah.
Man, those were among the heaviest moments of the night when he's like, "This could potentially be the last time you're talking to Matt." And it's, I mean, it's potentially true. Yeah.
So I have a feeling they'll exchange some long emails in the future, and like I think that they will.
For sure.
They can't leave it at this place. This place is so broken and sad and whatever. I think that it has to at least get to some sort of.
Kelly aging herself by saying emails.
She said emails. They're going to exchange long emails.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you not sent a long romantic email? Oh, get over yourself. Get over yourself.
Child.
Never in my life.
Well, you're not living. I'll tell you
Never in my
what.
life
You're not
have I
living.
sent a long email.
Sorry, I'm
what
sorry.
do we
I'm
think
a poet.
about the Heather rumors?
They're fun.
Yeah, what happened to those? What do we think about Heather?
I mean, whatever.
The
I
Heather
could
rumors
give a
were
shit.
fun, and I feel like they just gave us something funny to talk about, and I don't really think there's any legitimacy to them.
Yeah, I agree.
I still believe them.
Yeah.
Why not?
Matt
Like,
looks so broken right
That's
now.
fun.
Like when Matt shaves his
Why
beard,
not?
when he shaves his beard back down to like his normal coif, then I'll start to think that maybe he's dating again. I think he's like exiling himself from the world right now. I think he wants nothing to do with anybody but himself.
So they filmed that like last week.
Yeah.
So Matt does not look like a guy that is back in the dating world
No,
right
he does
now.
not.
That's true.
Yeah.
Damn,
Poor
that's
guy.
true.
Yeah. I feel so bad
That's
for
super
him.
true. I was going to say that all the evidence we've seen that Matt and Heather are potentially together came maybe after this was filmed, but you're right. He does not seem in the right headspace to be dating.
This person asked the most obvious question of all time. Do we think that Matt was projecting his parents' relationship on his own? Yeah. The entire finale was about how Matt James didn't want to be like his dad.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
I saw one tweet that was very funny that was just like Matt James doesn't need Neil Lane, he needs a therapist. Like Matt clearly, and I hope the show helped him realize that there were all those underlying feelings that he had, and maybe now he can work through them, not necessarily work through them on the show, but work through them privately, but maybe the show brought them to the surface, that he has these deep commitment issues that has clearly come from his parents and his parents' relationship. And I still think not to, I'm no therapist, but like not to say that, like I think his mom and the way his mom feels still really affects him, because you can still see the heartbreak from his mom. Like to have his mom still be like, hey, love's not the end all be all, feelings come and go. She seems like still very broken from that situation, right? So I think that's got to be even harder for Matt to kind of carry that on his shoulders too.
Agreed.
Yeah. Does that wrap up our questions?
It wraps up our questions.
All right. Let's cut some stems.
Oh, we're doing that
and
today?
give. I think so.
We have to.
It's our
It's
last
the finale.
one.
Did you hear we weren't doing it?
I heard we all gave our roses to Matt, and then
We all gave our roses to Matt,
I'll
but
be
we
honest,
can all give out another one.
I have not thought about my stem, I will say.
I'll think about a stem.
Okay. You got one, Fran?
You know what? I do not right at this second.
I think I can come up with one. The repelling date.
Good one. Yeah.
That one.
That was ridiculous.
I'm gonna cut that one. The person who decided no helmets, or
Whoever's
just
ahead of safety on the show.
There might not be a person who's ahead of safety.
I'm cutting the lake.
Yeah.
The lake.
The
The lake is crazy.
It was mysterious.
Meet me at the lake.
Meet me at the
Oh,
lake.
Meet me
I
at the
want to
lake.
cut the note.
I'm gonna
to the lake.
I'm not sure if this is okay, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna cut Chris Harrison's weird
I was Fran, you took that directly from my brain. That is exactly what I was thinking, but I didn't want to say it.
on the door frame as he
That was strange.
Yeah, he opened the door and he was
telling
like, "Hey, what's up,
that
Rachel?"
she wasn't
was
getting
weird.
a date.
Super
That
weird.
was weird.
Super
Obviously,
weird by
there was
Chris.
a lot of Chris Harrison in the episode, but he was very much a part of the finale. So I guess they were just trying to stick to it.
Yeah,
and,
it was very weird. That was going to be my exact stem, but I couldn't think of anything else.
that
I didn't
was
want to say
creepy.
it.
I didn't like that one bit.
It was weird.
Yeah, weird.
Weird move by Chris.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to steal that one straight up. That's really.
Yeah, we can double down on that one.
Yeah, I think we can double
down.
down.
That one deserves to be doubled down on.
Do you guys think that at any point any of the snow was fake?
Honestly, I would
During
give my
the
rose to
season.
the snow. That was
The rose
the
looked-
snow
I mean, the snow looked amazing.
at the end of Michelle meeting Matt's mom and brother.
Yep.
Incredible.
I'm gonna give my
Gorgeous.
rose to Matt's brother.
Good one.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Good one.
Yeah.
He's great. I might give my rose to Matt's mom if we're
Patty.
doing like side roses.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to her. She just was so sweet. I felt
going
I felt bad for her.
We
I
did,
don't
but
know.
then
Well,
they put that
this is-
crap
She
She
said it.
said
Yeah,
Oh,
she
you
said
gotta
a
fill those
rose,
in.
and so I was like, I'll just throw out another
Group
rose.
rose. That was a group
That
rose.
was a group
Trent,
rose, yeah.
Just give yours.
What?
Emmanuel's.
Emmanuel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give it to
actually, that
Emmanuel.
is actually one that
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a great
He
rose.
was
He
fantastic.
definitely deserves
He
one.
does.
He
Great
really
rose.
does. He was
A
fantastic.
permanent rose,
Matt's
to be
brother,
honest.
Matt's
I would
mom,
love to
this
see
snow.
him have more of a role on this show.
Yeah.
I really, really
Yeah,
would.
he was
I
good.
know, like Trent said, Tasha and Caitlin are doing this season of The Bachelorette. But if Emmanuel could be a part of this show in some way, it would be fantastic
Let me get
because
that.
I
Let
feel
me-
like he really went through that so well.
I love that workout
He's
plan,
so-
Emmanuel. I
he
love
was-
it.
His muscles
he is
were
so jacked.
absolutely
He is jacked.
pumped
He is
into
so
that
jacked.
suit.
He's in
For
great
I forget
shape.
who I was talking about it today. Maybe it might have been Kevin Clancy today saying that he thinks that after Caitlin and Tasha post this next season of The Bachelorette, he thinks that maybe they might let them like continue hosting The Bachelorette, and like maybe Chris Harrison only comes back for The Bachelor or only for
Right, right.
Bachelor in Paradise or sparingly here and there. And instead of having Chris
Very
overlording over everything, maybe like we can slide in Emmanuel here and there, we can slide in Caitlin Bristow here, and,
Yeah.
and maybe some Tasha, like whatever you want. I think that's it's interesting, and it makes me a little more excited about the future of The Bachelor versus I was
Yeah.
maybe a couple weeks ago.
Look, shake it up. Let's
Yeah,
shake it up.
whatever, man.
Why not?
We're all
Yeah.
here.
Like
we're
Caitlin
still
and-
watching.
Yeah.
Caitlin and Tasha are going to be great. Like that's, I think that's
Yeah,
going to go
for
really
sure.
well.
They're going to be
For
good.
sure. And I also think that their dynamic with Katie is going to be really good. Like, I
Yes.
think that the three of them together will get some great moments from them.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
they're filming in New Mexico. We're going to see that season in a couple months. And for now, we're going to be taking a little break. No Monday nights. We're going to have our Monday nights. Our Monday
Yeah, what
nights
was that?
free
It's
for
like,
a little bit.
oh no.
We haven't had our Monday nights free
I'm trying
in
to-
quite some
What
time.
is it like? What did you guys say? 22 weeks in a row or something?
Yeah,
22.
what,
This is our
Tasha,
22nd
Claire and
week of-
Tasha right into this season. So you know what? We couldn't have done it without Owens Mixers.
No,
Yep.
we couldn't.
Owens
So-
Mixers, and for the people watching. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Shout out to you guys.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you
You
guys,
guys
for
are the
tuning
best.
in every Monday night. It's been so much fun. Get your Owens Mixers. Stock up.
Do it.
Yes.
Get,
Stock
get
up.
ready.
Delicious.
Get ready.
Get ready
'cause
for
we'll
the next
be
season.
back next season. 15% off using code Barstool15 at owensmixers.com. Thank you guys
Cheers.
for
Cheers to you guys.
season.
Cheers. Yeah, this is fun.
Cheers to us.
Cheers.
Woo.